Welcome, everyone, to our first Happy Hormones intro. I know a lot of you are doing this video, and we welcome you. And those of you who are on live, it's so great to have you here. And we're going to start with sharing some stories, and Pam will talk about the programs that we have on offer. So thanks so much for being here with us. And I'm going to put our website in the chat just so if, as you're going through, you want to check out any more information from our website, it's going to be in there. So I will turn it over to you, Pam.
Awesome. Welcome. Welcome to all of you here. And those of you who are listening to the recording, I know we have quite a few who will be listening to this recording. And I'll start way back at the beginning of my life cycle of helping women with their hormones. I owned a wellness center. And one of the very first things that I realized is that women have hormones that are out of whack. And a lot of this had to do with our reproductive health because at that age, I was in my 30s when I started my first wellness practice. And I had a lot of women who came to me in perimenopause and menopause, and I guided them through that quite a bit with nutritional therapy and nervous system health. So I'm very well versed in nutrition and our hormones. But what's so interesting to me now, fast forward to now, is that I also realize that although we have issues a lot of times with how stress impacts our hormones reproductively, there's also this whole other world of hormones that have to do with our neurotransmitters and also that has to do with our cortisol and our insulin. So when you put progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, insulin, and then the dose hormones all together, imagine the complexity of our body and what we have to manage on the daily level, what our body has to physiologically manage. So there are very specific things that we can do for our lives. And that's what I'll be talking about in the support circle. And there's also this very general concept that when we take stress out of the body, and let's define it as the pressure of life, when we're able to come into a state of rest and digest, what we call flow in FlowFIT, what happens is that our hormones can do what they're meant to do. But when we're in a pressurized system and we're not energetically, emotionally, and mentally processing, what happens is our hormones get stuck on all levels. And what this becomes is kind of like a biochemical mishap. I wanted to say nightmare, but it is for some women. Like Hillary will share her story. And she was at a point in her perimenopause where she didn't know how she was going to keep going. And I've been there too. Even though I was guiding women, I also had an extreme amount of pressure building a wellness center, raising two kids, being a mom, doing it all. I was the do it aller. And I also had PTSD that I was healing. And all of that impacted my stress levels. And so, even though I had tons of solutions, I knew that there had to be something more. And it really hit me in the pandemic because I was coming out of perimenopause into menopause, and my reproductive hormones and my cortisol went crazy. And my body turned into something that I didn't recognize. I went from a thin, athletic person to having a belly that looked like I was pregnant, boobs that looked like I was pregnant. I'm going to say it like it is. Like I looked like I was nursing, and I couldn't figure out what had happened to my body. And all I kept on getting through my scientific brain was it's your cortisol. It's your cortisol. You've stressed yourself out and there's something that you haven't gotten right yet with your techniques. And that's what built FlowFit. It was really like I had missed a component. Now, again, Hillary will be sharing her story, but meanwhile, she's co-creating this technique with me, and I'm watching my cousin like shed weight and do these techniques and, become super powered. And meanwhile, I felt like I was still trying to figure it out, building the techniques, but she was my visual living product of what can happen in our hormonal system and in our bodies when we practice this. Hillary was the living testimony to what can happen. So today, what I just want you to think about is that this is for everybody because what we're about to explore in this 90-day reset is that we all, no matter where we are in the trajectory, PMS, perimenopause, menopause, neurological health, it doesn't matter what age we are, the FlowFit technique is targeting um, everybody. So what we're doing, and Lisa's going to talk about this a little bit, is mobilizing our nervous system, mobilizing our hormonal system so that it can self-correct and self-direct and do what it's meant to do. I'm not going to get into the science a lot today, which I so much want to, because I want to get into that in the support group. I want to target specific questions and then give you the science if you're interested in the science of your body. But what I am here to say is that when we landed in FlowFit in 2025, I started to come back into my body. And that was a gift because literally, like, I had gone up 3 sizes, bloated out. And as an athlete, it was just like, whoa, what is happening? And since applying FlowFit and the flow state and what we teach in our classes and our dose, my hormones have come back. I'm in full menopause. I've come back into balance. My body's coming back. My waist is coming back. I'm losing the belly fat. It's slow, but it's happening and I can feel it happening in my body. And I feel like I'm anti-aging, like my skin is getting clearer. I'm not as dry. So my story was pretty extreme, and I think it was because of the trauma in my nervous system. It drove me to do trauma healing. Another huge part of this program is we will be doing emotional processing in the support circle. So what you can't get at in the FlowFit classes, you'll be able to get at emotionally in our support circle. It's really important that we keep processing those emotions so that our hormones have freedom in our body because our emotions can cause pressurized system that shuts down our body. So all of this, I'll go over the program in a little bit, but I want to turn it over to Hillary because she really is the mirror, like I said, of me watching as we're building Supercore, Breathe Fit, and now what's called Flow Fit. As we were building this technique, I was watching her body go, "Mm," and her self-confidence come back and glow just took it to a level that I had never seen before. And this is someone I've known my whole life. She was born before me, and I met her right after birth. So, watching Hillary change and go through her hormonal process with FlowFit, I feel like your voice, Hillary, is really important. So I'll turn it over to you to share your story. I'm coming back though. Hmm.
Thank you, Pam. You know what I realized is that I didn't introduce us. Usually I'm really good at that, but I was so excited that I just jumped right in. So I'm Hillary Wells, and I am Pam Denton's cousin, Dr. Pam Denton, and she is a chiropractor, a scientist of the body and of our energy. And she's also been a fitness instructor since she was in her teens. I am a Nia black belt instructor, and I became a what was then Supercore and is now FlowFit instructor in 2021. Lisa Wyland is here with us, and Lisa is a physical therapist who specializes in pelvic health. She's just a font of knowledge, and I'm excited to hear what Lisa has to say as well. So, Pam, Lisa, and I are the team that will head up this 90-day Happy Hormones Cortisol Reset. So thanks for the shout out, Pam. I didn't know you were watching me that closely over the last 6 years. Um, but yes, so my story is that about when I turned 40, I started to experience some very severe perimenopausal symptoms. I didn't know what it was at the time. And I've talked with many women since then who don't know what's going on. They're like, "Am I crazy? What's happening to my body? What's happening to my mind? My emotions are all over the place. My stress is off the charts. I can't sleep. I have night sweats," or whatever they're going through. And so at this time, I just started to experience symptoms extremely heavy and nonstop bleeding. Once I had my period for an entire summer, which is my favorite season. So it really was a bummer. It was the bummer summer. And then I had weight gain that I was kind of unexplainable because I've always been active. I um, I was in a very high functioning job where I really had to show up and be extremely high functioning for sometimes 18 hours a day. And I felt exhausted. I had brain fog. I was in a new relationship with somebody who had kids. So all of a sudden we got married and I had stepdaughters. And so I'm dealing with my hormones and I'd never had kids. And so there I am with these hormonal fluctuations. And I found a lot of anger coming up. And my skin got very, very bad. I always was kind of prone to eczema. I'm happy to say that for the most part, my hands look pretty good. You can see there's a little red here, but my hands got so bad that I couldn't open my hands. I couldn't open them. I couldn't, they were like this because of the eczema and the cracks in my hands. And I also got it very badly on my feet. So just you name it, I was going through it. Pain. Um, and just times where I would really not be able to get out of bed. I was in so much pain, which I'd never even had period cramps in my life. So it was a real journey for 10 years. And finally I turned 50 and it was still going on. And then Pam and I, that was right around the time. Well, I turned 50 in 2019. The pandemic hit early 2020. And that's when Pam and I kind of reconnected. We've always been connected, but we've kind of been doing our own thing. And we reconnected, and Pam was running a program of what she called inner upgrades, which was really working with energy. And we had a big group from across the United States that would do this every day with us. And finally, I said, Pam, we need to move. Like I need to move my body. I'm stuck at home here. We need to move. So we started adding moves in and we developed this amazing program that included movement, breath, and imagination. And the program has evolved through the years uh, and is really distilled now. Pam really did a deep dive in 2025 to really distill it into FlowFIT to get us into a flow state where we can easily come back to center. We're constantly clearing out our nervous system of the junk and the clutter so that we can function at our optimal level. And so here we are with FlowFit. And as Pam said, I I experienced a great transformation, not only in my body, but in my energy, in my self-confidence, in my ability to get out there. And this work had a lot to do with that, with helping me find my voice. Uh, and I finally went through menopause at age 50, and I was very relieved. Perimenopause just about did me in. I literally would get on my knees and pray, and I had never done that before in my life. I was like, please make it stop. I can't do this anymore. I really can't. Like, I felt like I could not go on. And then, so between menopause coming on and this practice, I started to get my energy back. I started to get my center back. And yes, I lost 20 pounds without even realizing it. I don't weigh myself because I have a history of eating disorders and body image disorders, and it's dangerous for me to weigh myself, at least not very often. And so I just didn't really know. And I went to the doctor where I hadn't been for several years because of the pandemic and whatnot. And I was 20 pounds lighter than the last time I was there. And I was flabbergasted. I knew I had lost some weight, but I didn't realize it was that much. So doing these practices, I taught this practice 3 days a week for about 4.5, 5 years. And now I'm in doing it 6 days a week. So it's really a sustainable practice. It's a practice that gives me joy and inspiration every single day that I do it. Often I do 2 classes a day now, and, it's really keeping me keeping me feeling sane and centered in these times where just reading a headline can, like, make us fly off, right? And that's where the cortisol starts to go crazy, like, and the body starts to lock up. So these practices, we use the triad of breathe, move, imagine, and that might seem simple, and it is, but it's also very complex. We have very intentional movements that bring rhythm into the nervous system and start squeezing out. We do a lot of squeeze and release. We squeeze out tension. We release things that are built up in us. We don't even have to know what it is. And then we bring in the positive energy through breath and movement and imagination. So it's a really fun practice. I can't do anything if it's not fun. One of our students said to me the other day, "You have a very childlike energy." And I said, "Yeah, my word is play. Uh, I play deep. So I'm deep, but it has to be playful or I'm not going to do it." So that's also something that I think we lose. And that sense of play and fun and sometimes giddiness that comes up from when we release the stuck, when we release the cortisol overload, that can sustain us. That can help us through the hard times. And we need to be able to find that lightness and fun. So that's kind of where I've gotten to with all of this. And I'd be happy to answer any questions later. We can have a little bit of time for Q&A if you want it. I know for those of you doing the video, you won't be able to do the Q&A, but you can always reach us through our website if you have questions. And we will also, I just want to mention, we will have another free intro in 2 weeks. So look for that. I can't think of the exact date right now, so you don't want to give you the wrong date, but it's 2 weeks from today on a Saturday at the same time. So I would like now to introduce Lisa. I already introduced her a little bit, and Lisa is going to share where she's coming from. So you've got this power triad: Pam, me, Lisa. We all have our own perspective. We're all coming from a different place, and we all really know the importance of this. There's our triad and this triad of breathe, move, imagine, in bringing you into a higher level of happiness, health, ease, functionality, and releasing stress. And here she is.
Hello, everyone. I just want to welcome you and thank you so much for taking this time on a Saturday and taking the time if you're watching the replay. I am a recovering rushing woman, a people pleaser, do it at all type of person. I would be able to go into a room and really read emotions. So I was really good at taking care of everybody's emotions, everybody's physical health, oftentimes at the cost of my own personal well being. Professionally, I am a holistic physical therapist specializing in the treatment of the spine and women's health, especially the pelvic floor. And my whole career, and I can't believe this, almost 40 years, I always feel like that's a yikes. I have always taught a back program along with treating the spine. And so, what that would look like is I would use manual techniques to really work on function, so restore dysfunction in the spine, look at myofascial restrictions, look at muscle imbalances between weakness and tightness. And then I would do an 8-week back program, and that would be consisting of stretches, of core stability exercises, and functional body weight strengthening. So, what I love doing in my practice is that I love helping women who are tired of running on stress and fumes and learn how to regulate their nervous system through three basic techniques that are so powerful that Pam and Hillary have talked about. It's through breath work, gentle and joyful movement, and activated imagination or visualization. And this is the quickest and most direct technique to really activate and regulate your nervous system. And what you achieve with this is you reclaim your energy, you reclaim that focus, and you create a grounded magnetic presence. So when our culture really prioritizes, that busyness, for, like that going and doing and achieving, and that just creates a lot of stress in our bodies. And we oftentimes as women have a hard time saying no. And what that would look like for myself, for my own story, is that I was there for everyone. Like for my career, I was starting my own business. I had children at home and at college, running to their events, trying to make time for my husband, trying to make time for my own health. And I did have an underlying health condition that complicated things. So then I started working on me and my body. And then in addition, I became that sandwich community. And what was the really tipping of the scale was when my elderly parents started having health issues, and now I'm taking care of them in addition to everything that I said. I was at a leadership conference, and Dr. Pam was the speaker. And it was on nervous system regulation. And it was a perfect timing because a lot of my patients come in with chronic pain. And so I had been doing a deep dive. A lot of my continuing education was on pain neuroscience. And I was learning about there are two different parts of our nervous system: the sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, flee, which oftentimes can become our automatic pattern, and our parasympathetic nervous system, that rest, digest, ease, restore, renew. And so when I was at this conference with Dr. Pam, one of the first questions she asked that just caught my attention is, what kind of leader, what kind of woman, what kind of mother, sister, friend, daughter could you be if your nervous system was regulated? And at this time, I was feeling constantly, my go-to emotion was overwhelm. There was a lot on my plate, and I just sat with that, and it's like, here, that's part of my practice. This is what I teach women, but am I really embodying it in my own nervous system? What could I achieve? What patterns are automatically, in my go-tos? So for the past 2.5 years, I have been studying with Dr. Pam on these three powerful movements, and especially at a time where it was my lifeline, especially when I was doing so much caregiving for my parents. That breath work on such a deeper, personal level, learning so much more about breath. How can we incorporate with movement? And then what if we activate our imagination to release these stuck emotions, these stuck patterns in our body, these stuck stress patterns? And so that was kind of really powerful for me, as I was coming into perimenopause and menopause. I know that importance of our, sex hormones, but for me, I really felt like it was my stress hormones, that cortisol level, that I was really feeling depleted. Like I couldn't I didn't I felt like I didn't have the agency or capacity to do one more thing. But there was those demands of life that I had to. So I was able to regulate my nervous system so that I had more capacity to realize I didn't have to do things in a rushed, hurried state, that I had a choice to do things, to be calm, maybe to even give myself grace to say no. And so it was just it's been an amazing journey, a powerful practice for myself. So cortisol, as we said, is your stress hormone. It's supposed to rise when we need it and fall when we don't. But chronic stress, those long nights of sleepless nights, those endless yeses, those hormonal shifts of perimenopause can scramble that rhythm. And the result is that we often just feel tired and depleted. So, what I love about this is oftentimes we don't need a grand overhaul. You just need that focused, that kind reset that respects where you are. Think of it as rebalancing your nervous system so your hormones can stop shouting and start humming at such a beautiful musical level. Your body is asking for that different inputs, that breath work, that gentle and joyful movement, that activated visualization. No longer are we going to be running on fumes. We're going to find that joy, that connection, and kindness to our bodies.
Thank you, Lisa. What a powerful story. Wow. And so many women are on that hamster wheel, right? Like do, 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 do. And what does that do to our nervous system? What does that do to our hormones? So, uh, yeah, I think we can all relate to that. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Pam.
That was so powerful, Lisa. I mean, I was just going through in my clinical brain how much I've been through to study women's health. I have been everything from a female sexuality coach to the clinical chiropractor to a female empowerment coach. I had to go into all the different avenues. And for a long time, I stayed kind of stuck in that progesterone estrogen place, especially clinically and nutritionally. And it was like, nope, this isn't it. This isn't helping women fully. The full spectrum of our health is not being addressed. And then I had to go through it myself as the doer, because I'm holding this space for women and families and men to heal, and then leaders and corporations. So I'm holding this huge space. And there was still something missing, and it came down to cortisol, the cortisol insulin dance. So when our cortisol goes up, our insulin gets whacked out, and our sugar handling we gets whacked out. So it's this kind of duality of when I'm stressed, my cortisol goes way up, it gets stuck, and then my insulin can't handle the sugar handling, and sugar gets pumped into the bloodstream, and everything gets thrown out of whack. And then we have a whole slew of symptomatology, like Hillary talked about. So when I came into 2025, I'm like, there's still something missing. There's still something missing. And that's when I went back into my Kundalini yoga training and I studied flow state. And it's also in my network spinal analysis training, my neurological training. The life force energy, the flow, the ease, that feeling of floating, the feeling of being released and let go completely in flow state. And that's when I realized that all my hormones were starting to like work together and reorchestrate themselves into a more calm, patient, open, beautiful person that I hadn't even accessed in myself as a healer. And right now I'm gonna have to be calm and patient with my puppy as I get into this presentation. It always happens. Um, so I'm going to share my screen and go through some of the symptomatology with you and try not to get distracted by Luna. Luna. So, so in studying all of this about women's health, I really dove into flow state, as you know, and many of you have experienced. I realized that there was a huge part of our hormonal system that was missing, and it's in our neurotransmitters. So we have the dose class that I'll be talking about in a little bit. But what I realized in studying this was that all of this symptomatology can be linked to stress and pressure in our body, throwing off our hormones. So if you have any of these, you may have some stress and tension in your body, and it's a natural everyday occurrence to have stress and pressure in our lives. Challenges are never going away. They're many times going to accelerate. It's how our body handles those challenges. And these are symptomatologies that are calling to you to pay attention to what the stress is in your body. And the more that we can become intentional with it, the more that we can heal our body. Wired but exhausted is a huge one. That was a huge part of my story. I was getting up and I'm like, still exhausted. Sleepless nights, hot flashes having to do with our reproductive hormones, brain fog, low energy, anxiety, irritability, snapping like that, headaches. I had migraines for the first time in my life in perimenopause. So that was more my reproductive hormones. Um, Low motivation, overwhelm, low metabolism, or high metabolism, like super exhausting metabolism, difficulty focusing, cravings, weight fluctuations, belly fat, feeling burned out, feeling disconnected, feeling hopeless, digestive issues. Huge one that we're going to be talking about in this program is your digestive tract. Um, Muscles deteriorating. I started to have cellulite on my arms personally. And I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? Even when I was weightlifting, I would lift weights. It wouldn't produce muscle, it would produce more fat. So I was like, hold on, there's something going on here. My muscles were actually deteriorating and the fat was accumulating because my cortisol insulin was off. Weakness, feeling just weak in your body. As Hillary talked about, weird skin issues. And then me for a big one for me also as I was going through the reproductive hormonal change was my hair was falling out so much that I had to cut it all off, which is not the case anymore. I'm growing it out. So this is an incredible load on our system. And for years, I was working with women, as I said, on taking care of self. And I really had to dive into it. But I also knew that we needed a technique that was quick, that would work fast, and we would feel it immediately, almost to the point that FlowFit is like, whoa, what's happening? I actually have energy, or I actually want to go read a book or do something differently in my life. So it can go either way. You're super energized and cleaning your house when you had no motivation, or you're relaxed and at ease and taking a vacation, a little mini vacation. So FlowFit was designed to be that um, filler of, okay, this isn't working. Like yoga wasn't working for my clients as much as I wanted it to. Nutritional targeted therapy, nope, not working like how I want it to. But when I dove into flow state and all these like multiple modalities that I studied, flow state was the answer because it was very integrative and it got to women and our bodies quickly. And that's what Hillary and I have studied for the past 5 years, how fast and effective it is on many different levels. So the world has never been this more complex or stressful. And I feel like that is why it is time for FlowFit. And that is why it is time for women to do FlowFit and take care of your bodies hormonally. And we have not been trained in the parasympathetic enough. So that rest and digest place, I don't feel like women who are multidimensional beings have had enough parasympathetic training. So I'll talk about this in our lineup of classes so that you can super hyper target where it is that you need to be. Do you need that parasympathetic rest and digest training because you're feeling pressurized and tense, which is the catalyst for over cortisoling yourself and having all of those symptomatologies? So do you need to rest and digest? Do you need to focus on your neurotransmitters? I'll get into that a little bit. Or do you need to focus on all of it and get into Hillary's class, which is FlowFit 45, and do the full thing and maybe add in the dose and some others? So there are going to be some very specific areas that you're going to want to intentionally target to heal your body. The number one is to come back into the parasympathetic rest and digest. Like I said, women have not had enough training of being. So our being really needs our attention. And that is what will help your hormones self regulate and come back to their natural pumping, moving, shifting, taking care of your moods, taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair. Your body will take care of you when we take care of it. And it starts with that rest and digest parasympathetic state. So we have 3 levels in our classes. We talk about this in foundations, but it's so applicable to if you're feeling the stress, if you have some of those symptoms, I really want you to know how our FlowFit structure is set up to take care of you. Neuroregulate, like I just talked about, is that parasympathetic training, teaching our nervous system to automatically go back to rest and digest no matter what is happening. It's a life practice. Neuroactivate is bringing that energy back so that you want to clean your house, you want to go to work, you want to take care of your kids, and it's a real feeling of energy, not a fake, oh, I gotta do this, and I feel so exhausted. So knowing when to rest and digest, having natural energy, drive, and ambition, that's our second level in our FlowFit classes, and then holding both states at once. This is the missing piece for women specifically and for society, period. Holding both states. Oh, I'm resting and digesting. Oh, I have energy. Well, they're actually both integrated together. That's when our do sympathetic teams up with our rest and digest, and we're actually becoming this flexible, mobile person who knows when to rest and digest, when we need energy and drive, and getting those two to sync up. We call it the calm leader. Being energized and present all at the same time, and relaxed, alert, and waiting for life to happen. So we use these 3 neurological drivers, breathe, move, imagine, like Lisa talks so beautifully about, to activate each one of these levels. In every class, pretty much you're going to experience all of these levels, but some more than others. And this is where I want you to think, okay, I have about 10 of those symptoms on the list. So I need to go back to rest and digest and really study that and apply it to my body. And just focusing on reproductive hormonal perimenopausal issues, I need to go to regulate. So by doing our support group, we'll be able to help you guide you to put together a specific plan with our classes so that you will know where you need to focus your energy and it doesn't get confusing and hard on your body and like, oh my gosh, there's so many classes. Because every single class is going to help your reproductive hormones, your stress hormones, and your neurological hormones. However, you can super hyper target a plan for where your body is right now. And that's what we want to get at in this program. And that's why this program. So let's get into it without overwhelming us. I'm just going to give you a little brief snippet. And maybe inside your mind, you can be like, this is where I need to focus my energy and attention for my body. So let's say that you have 5, 6, 7, 8 of those symptomatologies, or one is just really pulsating and strong, like you're exhausted all the time. That's going to be FlowFit Breathe and Basics. Currently, it's called FlowFit Wake Up and Heal. However, when Lisa comes back from her healing journey with her spine, she's going to come back and teach. When Anne's covering for her now, the class is going to become our morning wake up and heal, breathe and basics. So wake up and heal is becoming breathe and basics. The early morning class at 8 a.m. Eastern time, Lisa's class will be the parasympathetic rest and digest class. It's like, I need to learn how to digest my emotions, my exhaustion, my burnout. I need to work with this parasympathetic ease because I'm do. And that'll take maybe a little bit of diving in our support circle, or you may know right now that you're a doer and you really need to focus on this parasympathetic. Class is too early for you. We have KK's class, which is uh, slow flow with KK, the next class on our lineup. And that's at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we would absolutely love to add that 2 days a week so that we have an evening class, not evening for all time zones, but a later afternoon class for people who just can't get up in the morning because you're really in that cortisol overwhelm where your body's out of whack and you have a bunch of those symptomatologies on that list. So FlowFit, Slow Flow with KK in the later afternoon. And then our breathe in basics with Lisa in the morning. Again, our rest and digest. I need to find ease. Now, the cool thing is you're still going to get a workout. You're going to be working out your muscles, your interconnected tissue highway. You're going to be helping your glands pump the right chemicals into your body. You'll still be working with those neurotransmitters, but it's just putting your foot in the water and stepping into the healing process before you jazz your system up and start to give yourself too much energy that your body can't even handle. Goddess Core with Anne is our female healing class. If you want the full, all dimensional world and reality and you have a little spiritual edge, that's Goddess Core. So if you need the emotional processing, if you need some spirituality to get through this, that would be Goddess Core, and it's seated and standing. And I feel like it's the bridge between the very slow flow and the more active classes that I'm about to get into. So Goddess Core is just a beautiful class to really ask your feminine body to guide you. And we do have men who take this class because they know that they have a feminine side that they need to address as well. They love it. That gets me into FlowFit 45 because these classes are Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. FlowFit 45 is when your nervous system is at the place where you could have 5 of those symptomatologies, but you're not in full burnout. It's not, you're ready for that energy that I showed you in the neuroactivation. You're like, I need the parasympathetic and I need the sympathetic to start to work together to balance out my body. So if you're looking for fitness, if you're looking for body toning, weight loss, and you want to do it in a healthy way that lowers your cortisol, your stress hormones, and activates the energy at a cellular level and at a physical muscular level, then that's FlowFit 45. Now, for women who watch this and you're really struggling with your body, if you walk into FlowFit 45 and it's just not time yet, it's always there for you. That's why we have this sequencing of regulate, focusing on your parasympathetic, calming the nervous system, letting your neurotransmitters reboot, letting your hormones come back into balance, and then stepping into Goddess Core and FlowFit 45 and Super Core on Saturdays. Super Core on Saturdays is really focusing on our core strength, our physical presence. But Super Core is going to be for you if you are feeling like you need that activated energy and you want to process your emotions because we're working with the core transformer. We're working with the ability of our core to take care of us. It's also very good for pelvic health because we're going to do a lot of mobility, deep stretching, open leg sequences where we mobilize the pelvis, and that really helps the reproductive hormones for those of you going through perimenopause and menopause. And it's just a great overall physical fitness class. But you can see for somebody who has a huge list of things, your body may not quite be ready for Supercore, and you have to listen to it. And like Hillary's story, it may be ready. So that's why the support circle is so important because we can help guide you into the right class based on your symptomatology and where you are and what your history is. Or you can have one-on-one with me when you sign up for the program. I'm happy to meet with anybody to talk about where you need to go and help you get your plan going. The dose is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. When our reproductive hormones start to decrease perimenopause into menopause into full menopause, then we really need those neurotransmitters to come into play because they will help your mood when those reproductive hormones are out of play. So we're not done yet when we go through menopause. We're actually just getting started. It's been told that women are just in their prime, are entering their prime when they enter menopause. But what happens in our do society is that gets burned out. The dose is where it all happens for women. So if you are exiting or going through the transit of perimenopause into menopause, or if you are in menopause like I am, then the dose is a place that we get to build our playground, like Hillary was saying. We get to work with the endorphin rush in the zone. We get to work with serotonin, which is all about emotional stability. We get to work with our oxytocin, which is all about trust and connection and love and healing and touch and connecting with the world in a new way, and dopamine, which is about stability. So that's like the female playground to say, hey, all right, I got these reproductive hormones, but I also have these neurotransmitters that could make my mood dynamic and expansion can happen for me. I'm getting all excited about this class. It's just a really powerful class. Now, we are doing this intentionally. We're saying, okay, today is dopamine day and we're going to focus on mental stability, or today is oxytocin day and we're focusing on trust. So we rotate through these neurotransmitters and we support your overall health. So there are all these different levels in FlowFit. And when we built this program, we're like, this is a great program for women and hormones because each one of them helps address a different level of our stress levels so that we can come back into our dynamic, purposeful selves and exude this beautiful energy that the world needs right now, no matter where you are in your stages of life. So our program is basically set up as a three month challenge. There's the support group that I keep on talking about. I think right now I have it as on it as an early morning time, but we do have other time zones showing up for this. So I think it's going to be Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. It will not be recorded because there will be deep emotional processing. Whether you're processing or not, we need to hold a safe space for women. So if we need a second time based on who's signing up, I will add a second time, and that'll be led by myself as well as the team helping support me in this processing. We'll be doing emotional processing. We'll be doing goal setting, accountability, nutrition, and planning because there's a big component to proteins. I'm not going to get into it today, but making sure that our hormones are supported by enough proteins in our body. Women tend to restrict their amount of calorie intake and also protein intake, really important for our neurological body and our hormonal body. So we'll be talking nutrition, we'll be talking about planning your classes, we'll be holding each other accountable, and then there will be an emotional processing, journaling, and of course, we'll be doing breathe, move, imagine in this support group. So the program includes the support group. If you're already a member, you can join the support group for $82 for 3 months. So you just go to the memberships and you purchase the Happy Hormones membership, and it gives you access to this class for 3 months. It's a fixed membership, and it's May, June, and July. The whole program, if you're new to this, is $349, and these are equivalent financially for our members and for newbies. So, as a new participant to this program, and you can do this in payments, this is a 3-month program with unlimited access to our FlowFIT classes plus the support group. Goal is to get you in the rhythm of taking care of your body with the breathe, move, imagine triad and helping you find the level and the sequencing and the healing application that you need for your body, your life, and your mind. And
I
then
just
there's
wanted to
but
say I'm gonna pop in here and
yep,
also just mention that the classes are recorded and you will have access to the video library with your membership. So if you really want to do Goddess Core one day and you just can't make it that day, you can go in and do the recording at your leisure. So that is something that's a bonus of having a membership versus just dropping into classes or buying a class pass.
right, Hillary, thank you. Yes. And the only thing that's not recorded is the support circle for psychological safety and confidentiality purposes. So that's like you just have to be there. Um, there's also additional product and nutritional support, which we can bring into the support circle. I will be talking about our support products. I work with a company called Standard Process, which is very specific, targeted nutritional training. Like if your adrenals need support or your ovaries or your thymus, we have products for targeted and they're whole food products that really help heal the body in different ways or support the healing process, I should say. And then there is another support system that I use called Believe that helps with cortisol, helps with gut health. They have probably one of the best gut health for balancing our hormones that I've ever used, and I've used a bunch across the board. But I'm very body specific with people. I believe that we have to be very specific with our nutrition based on where we are with our bodies. So instead of getting into it today, just know that this will be part of the conversation, and you can always, again, do a one-on-one with myself to go through our products and what you really need. So you can do a nutritional consultation with me during this program, and I think that that's it for now. There's a lot here. Your hormones love you. They have a personality. They have an expression in your body. There's so much to them. And the number one thing that women have to do is lower our stress and our pressure through this system and do it very specifically and intentionally to bring our bodies back from chronic stress, which I think most of the population is feeling, especially in America.
Thank you. And uh, we will have another free intro toward the end of the month. So
April 25th. Saturday,
it,
April 25th, 12 o'clock.
thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.